This is an album that basically Linda put together for Mom and Dad's 50th anniversary. They did a renewal of vows at Hogan Baptist Church. It became more or less like a wedding. But this was for that to have out at the reception for people to look through and see their history apart and together. This is Dad in Grandma's arms, and great-grandma, Miss Diffenderfer, and then great-grandfather, Mr. Diffenderfer, B.F. Diffenderfer, I think his name was. There he is. He was a railroad man. He actually died getting squished between two cars on a weekend that Dad was visiting, and Aunt Marion. There's Aunt Marion and Dad. And there's the widow of Mr. Diffenderfer, and that's Grandmama, Eva Diffenderfer Highsmith. And you didn't call her Eva. She would correct you. It is Eva, because she was from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania Dutch. And it was Eva. There's Dad going off to Eglin Air Force Base where he met Barbara. This is her, 10 years old, and then 14 or so. And this is her class, 7th grade. There she is in the middle. She said she could really throw a punch back then. And this is Mama and Granddaddy. Andrew and Catherine Atwell. That's Granny, Granddaddy's mom. They did fish a lot and hunt. Granddaddy hunted as well. There's Mom. Sorry about the light. This is Mom's fiance when she met Dad. And as this says, they actually were both, Dad and Mom were engaged to other people when they met. But pretty quickly they're at church. They realized they loved each other. Dad would go on Sunday for dinner to the Atwells, as 3 or 4 military men did. And he would actually sort of bicker with the guys so he could always be there every Sunday. And one time, Granddaddy told him not to come back. He's coming over too often. And Dad was there the next Sunday. And that's when things started changing as far as their relationship goes. There's Gary, Daddy, Grandma, and great-grandma, who I never knew. This is Grandma's house she had up till the day she died in 2001. That's Mama and Granddaddy, probably out at the chicken farm that they ran for a time. There's Gary. And then came Linda. Little chubby thing. Mom said that Linda and Gary were 2 peas in a pod. She tried to do everything that he tried to do, or that he did. And then I came along. That's my Uncle Walt, who's the last sibling surviving in Granddaddy, but Uncle Walt's holding me. And this is my first birthday, I believe, since the date says April and May 62. Here's me getting a haircut, I guess. Here's Grandma with all 5 of us. This is outside the church I remember growing up in, Orange Avenue Baptist Church in Green Cove Springs, Florida. This was me, well, I guess on my third birthday, since that's February '64. Here's Uncle Walt again. There's Mom with Dad and Gary and Linda, and then her brother Bill next to her, then Aunt Bonnie, her sister, and then over on the right side is Uncle Walt, and then Uncle Burton sitting on the arm of the chair. He was only like 6 or 7 years old when Gary was born. And there's Dad's mom. This is the Atwells again. That's Uncle Burton holding Linda on his shoulder, and Uncle Walt has me in his arms. This is his chubby sister. Yes, back when churches didn't have baptismal pools. Yeah, sorry about that. Pages aren't cooperating. But it's not like this is professional. Oh, that's Ricky and Ronnie. Aunt Marion's dad's sisters, 2 boys. And I guess this is Rick with his... No, this is Peanut and Pee-wee, Uncle Walt's kids, I think. And then Rick and Ronnie and me and Gary and Linda. Okay, this is Mama's family. All the way over is Uncle Walt, his first wife, Aunt Irene, Uncle Bill, not sure who he was dating, then that's Uncle Burton. Uncle Bill is the tallest one in the back, next to Aunt Sheila, and then Mom and Dad, and then me, Gary, and Linda, and then we got the boy down on the left is Michael, which we called Peanut, and then Andy is the blonde in Irene's arms, and we called him Pee-wee, and then Sylvia, Uncle Bill, and Aunt Sheila's kids on the right, Cousin Richard and Sylvie Ann. And since I'm doing these mainly for me and some of the other family members that don't ask, that care, I'm not really worried about the production values of this. I just want to get all these on video so I don't have to worry about where... There's Pedro, our dog. I don't have to worry about lugging him around with me anymore, since things have changed. That was at my sister's work, my first day back in Jacksonville, 1984. And there's Gary with his first wedding, and her parents, Linda Kay was his wife's name, and Mom and Dad. And then came Selena, the last addition to the family at that time. And there we are with Selena. Oh, and that's Betchel, his second wife. Selena's mom. There she is. Cute as a button then, and very pretty now. Here's Grandma, Dad, Gary, and Selena for 4 generations of Highsmiths. Dad was an educator, a teacher, like his grandfather before him, actually. He taught electronics for a while, especially in the military, and then ended up in earth science, geological sciences, and math. But he was also a choir director on Sunday, Wednesdays. Some of these churches I don't recognize. This is Orange Avenue, though, the church I grew up in. That was a little before my time. I sang in the choir from the time I was like 10 or 11. Started out singing alto with a lady named Helen Keller, Carolyn Cowart and Mrs. Foster. Dad also played several instruments, which accordion was one. He helped bells. This is at Hogan Baptist, where Linda and I went for most of the 80s and 90s, and she went for longer than I. And this is Paw and Grandma and Aunt Marion and Dad. Paw had a crippling arthritis. Only between the time when Paw died, when I was like 2 months old in 1961, and the time that Linda was paralyzed. That's one of my favorite pictures of Dad and Grandma. Linda was paralyzed in 64. Only during those 3.5 years did Dad have a family member not in a wheelchair. Oh, that's Great Aunt Louise, Dad's aunt. She was only about 6 or 7 years older than Dad, so they were very close when Dad spent time. And these are her children, Buster, which Lewis, he's named after his dad, and then Carol, Martha, and little Lou, and then that's Aunt Louise and Uncle Lewis, who was a doctor. And this is Barbara's mama's family. There again, her brothers. And she had three brothers, one sister, and herself, and then Grandma and Granddaddy. Here's Granddad, looking rather dapper. There they are with a mess of fish. Looks like some catfish and some brim. Here they are a little older. They came over to visit occasionally. We went over there a lot, to Niceville, Florida, in the panhandle of Florida. That's Mama and Granddaddy and Uncle Bill. There they are as well. And these are just pictures of them, as it said, as time goes by. He always was smiling. I don't know why this isn't focusing well, but it still gets the point across. I'm just wanting to get all these down. I just realized this chair is squeaking pretty badly too. That's Grandma's house back there that she had the entire time. Well, till she died in 2001. It's Mama. That's the back door to the house I grew up in Green Cove on Elsie Street. There's Pedro with Mama in our family room. That's the New Moon. Mom loved that trailer. I think it was the first place she was able to really decorate the way she wanted and felt like it was hers. There's Rookie. That was essentially my dog. This was Mom and Dad's 25th anniversary at Orange Avenue Baptist Church when they renewed their vows. Forgot that pastor's name. Then Dad, this looks like Uncle Walt and Aunt Helen's because of that hutch. And then Dad, we were snorkeling. I think this was St. Thomas. I think he came out of the water. And then this was them on one of the vacations. And this was the bulletin. There it is. Sorry, trying to look for that. That was in the bulletin that day to invite people to come to the renewal of vows. And then this was about a month later. And that's it.